Alright ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kieran and yes, welcome back to a brand new episode of Community Ideas for Fallout 5. Yes, I know it's been a wee while since the last one, but for newcomers to the channel who have no idea what the fuck is going on, this series and this video takes your ideas for a potential Fallout 5 or Fallout game and discusses them basically. So if you want to talk to me about your idea for Fallout 5, then please leave them down in the comment section below and I promise I will take a gander at them. So yeah, welcome back. We have a bunch of cool ideas to talk about today, from a game set in Alaska to more simple, better life ideas for the series going forward. Our first idea comes from Enigma Plays 115, an active member in the Bundicot community, so it's nice to see him sharing his idea here. I think it would be an awesome idea for Fallout 5 to be set in North Georgia, with the Enclave having control over Savannah, the oldest city and major port town. They can use folklore like in 76 and potentially having you side with the Enclave or a rival faction. If they do co-op or PvP, then you and your friends could side on opposite factions and have a literal battle for ground, taking settlements and the like. Maybe we could have a Frank Horrigan type of enemy on the side of the Enclave, or see their mind control death claws from Fallout 3. Now, being a man that's not from the US of A, I'm not really aware of what's actually in North Georgia, so after a quick wee Google search and a look on Google Images, it does look like a pretty nice place, like visually, it looks pleasing. This game will definitely be very similar in terms of visuals to Fallout 76 because West Virginia is also like this region, with it being filled with hills and forests and trees and greenery and just looking pretty. Now I do dig this idea for one reason, and that is because of the Enclave. He seems to have a similar mindset to myself, where we want an option to one day side with the Enclave in the main story instead of always being against them. I know you can side with the Remnants in New Vegas, but that's not really the same thing, you know? I can just imagine you pick up a quest from one of the scientists at the labs or something, and you have to go out and like tame a deathclaw. Now that would be an interesting quest. Next idea comes from Lapis Lazuli, who gives us something that they want in terms of roleplaying in the next game. I liked Nuka World because you got to be a raider, but it was pretty one-sided. I'd like the option to completely alter the course of the game by actually siding with factions outside of the normal big guy groups. Let me be a raider or just fortify a trade post or settlement or whatever. You see, I really know where Lapis is coming from here, because thinking back to New Vegas, it was simply a choice between Caesar's Legion, Mr. House, NCR, or an independent New Vegas, also known as Yes Man. And then for those smaller factions, they were really there just to help those larger ones. So it would be really interesting if there was a major conflict between, let's say, the Brotherhood and the NCR, but you become attached with a smaller faction, and so your story only really has their involvement. Also, I totally agree with the let me be a raider, because being a dickhead in the wasteland is good fun. Let's be honest, that's like one of the pros of 76, like being a dickhead and nuking people. That's funny, in my book. You know, there was some psychopaths out there that chose the raider setting in their wee house in Fallout 3. I know there's some of you out there that did that, and that means you're a fucked up wee wanker, so yep, keeping an eye out for you. Our next comment comes from user It's Mosey, that proposes some interesting locations. I think a game that's set across North and South Carolina would be very interesting. We haven't really seen any games in the actual South. The game could have factions inspired from the past, like Neo-Confederates. The game would also have a vast diversity of geographic locations, from the Appalachians to the swamps near the coast. We could have many cities like Greensboro, Charlotte, Columbia, Wilmington, Charleston. By the way, I probably fucked up some of those names, but it's fine. Many new enemies too, like giant mutant Venus flytraps, since flytraps are only found in the Carolinas. There's just so much potential. You're right, Mosey, and there is a fuck ton of potential here. It's crazy when you said there hasn't been any games set in the South, because there's always Brotherhood of Steel. You know, remember that game for the PS2? The one that's considered non-canon by Bethesda? That's probably why you said not any actual games. Having it set in Carolina as well seems pretty plausible actually, because the location is on the East Coast, which if you don't know is Bethesda's safe space, because they don't like going west for some reason. Carrying on, we all know the reason. When you mention things like Neo-Confederates and swamps, it really forms an image in my head of a very cool and unique looking Fallout game. I can see the Neo-Confederates being a rather smaller faction in the Wasteland with not so many people taking them seriously. They could just own like a small Republic of Dave sized settlement and they offer pretty horrible side quests. Also, New Mutants is something I'm always up for seeing, so that would be interesting. So yeah, cool idea Mosley, good job, I like it. From one of my community posts, Ismail suggests a few weapon changes to Fallout 5. More weapon variety. Even with 4's DLCs, it felt limited. Make legendary weapons more unique, instead of just some perk. Like bringing back 3 in New Vegas' thing that gave legendaries unique designs and stuff. I didn't like how you could find a legendary weapon so easily. How about restricting them to only quest rewards and secret locations in the game? What do you guys think? Well, what do I think, Ismail? What do I think? I think you're totally bang on, son. Or hen. Or whatever gen... Oh no, I can't go there. That is dangerous territory, fucking scaleback. Remembering back to the old Fallout 3 in New Vegas days, I always loved searching for the unique weapons and bubbleheads. In Fallout 4, however, I just found myself not really doing any of that because there was an abundance of fucking unique weapons scattered about, and like what Ismail said, they were quite easy to obtain. So for me at least, there wasn't really any real adventure to go and obtain these items. Like, my most memorable experience with a unique weapon from the early games was, of course, the Ways of Waffle. Just the entire encounter with Bowie was so funny and stupid. Actually, I featured this in a video I made ages ago, but someone actually made a fucking song about the Ways of Waffle. Do you see a song being made about a Fallout 4 weapon? No. But yeah, if you haven't heard the Ways of Waffle song, you really should just look up on YouTube, listen to it, it's fucking brilliant. Valteros XMB brings us our next idea we'll be covering as he brings us to Alaska. I think a Fallout game in Alaska would be interesting. Even though Texas sounds like it would be a much better idea since there seems to be a ton more lore, yeah, I think that's too much effort for Bethesda to put in. First things first, Bethesda needs to find some better writers. First things first, I do like the idea of Fallout exploring Alaska, especially since that location was where China invaded during the Battle of Anchorage. Actually, that's what caused the Battle of Anchorage, was China's invasion there. However, I don't think I would like a full-on Fallout game based there, but it would definitely make for an interesting DLC location. I know we had this with Operation Anchorage DLC for Fallout 3, but an actual DLC set during the times of the game, so like set in the 2200s and not before the bombs fell, would be really cool actually. I would enjoy exploring a post-apocalyptic Alaska. I'm curious what it would look like, probably just filled with snow. Like, essentially. I can imagine a major Chinese presence being there as well, which would make for a very interesting story. Now, on to the Bethesda needing better writers part. In my opinion, I don't think they're that bad. Like, compared to the writers of New Vegas, of course they look a lot rougher than that, but I don't necessarily think they're bad. Don't forget, these writers brought really interesting stories to 3, 4, and also 76. Like, outside of the main story, there's a ton of great side quests in these 3 games. Even though, you know, in 76 it's all just fucking holotapes, the story was still interesting there, you know. Now, on to the final idea of the video, we have Ian Tosh as he presents his idea for a potential Fallout game. In Fallout 5, you would play as the son or daughter of an overseer. He is secretly abducting people and exposing them to FEV. Eventually, the Vault Dwellers catch on to what he's doing and rebel by killing him and exposing you to the FEV. The player character doesn't lose their memory. Your father sent you a message on your Pip-Boy saying something about a cure for the FEV, but he doesn't say too much because he knew he would die soon. So you go out to find it and it's really hard for you to find any help because you're a super mutant, essentially. So you need to find help from other super mutants and people who do not fear them. You get a deadline to when you will turn into a brainless brute. The cure was made by Virgil in Fallout 4 is canon. Once you're cured, you go back to the vault and most dwellers will be surprised and the story will force you to become the next overseer. But how you do it and what you do to those dwellers that turned on you and turned you into a wee super mutant is up to you. After all, you are the overseer, so you can make rules and stuff like who to let in, right to bear arms, freedom of speech, shit like that. Whether you continue the experiments of your father is up to the player. So this is kind of like a twisted version of the first Fallout game, and I think it's definitely an interesting and very intriguing concept. Playing as a super mutant for a good part of the game, then turning back into a human is quite interesting as well, because you get like 2 completely different contrasts in how people will treat you in the Wasteland. So you'll interact with one character in 2 different scenarios at that point. Like when you're playing as a super mutant, maybe there's like some towns you just can't get into, and then later on in the game you go out, you can go to that town as a human, completely different. It's cool that the villain of the story is essentially your own father, which is similar to Fallout 4, but that whole story was just you know? Returning back to the vault layer and becoming Overseer heavily reminds me of Fable 3 when the first part of the game is building up to you becoming king or queen, then the rest of the game has you making key decisions. I actually do really dig this idea, but I don't see Bethesda making anything like this, unfortunately. They'll probably go down their own traditional route, you know, of having you trying to find someone of importance for the entire fucking game. Someone's dad at BGS definitely left them when they were a child and they still haven't gotten over it. You can tell. So that was community ideas for Fallout 5. How are you guys liking these ideas, and do you have one of your own? Let me know down in the comments below. Special thanks to my brilliant wee patrons, Kaji, Devil, Proxy1, TG Monster, Enigma Plays 115, and Jack Greywind for your continued support over my Patreon. Thank you guys so much, I do really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I shall see you all in the next one. Bye bye.